Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Doug, and this is yet another in an ongoing series of videos about fountain pens. Today I don't have a new pen or unboxing or a review. However, I'd like to discuss an issue that I've been thinking about since I got into this hobby almost a year ago. And that is the recommendation of entry-level fountain pens. From many of the videos I've watched and the articles I've read about entry-level fountain pens, the usual recommendation for entry-level pens are of brand name fountain pens from well-known writing instrument companies such as Cross, Pilot, Sheaffer, Faber-Castell, and Lamy. In fact, the most recommended entry-level fountain pens are the Pilot Metropolitan and the Lamy Safari. This is probably one of the reasons these pens are so popular. But considering these pens run in the $20 to $40 US range, I think we should compare these recommended first fountain pens with comparable Chinese fountain pens in the same price range. In my opinion, a Chinese fountain pen worth about $25 US is an incredible value for the money over the comparable big brand fountain pens for the same money. In addition, it's interesting that two of these recommended big brand pens have their pens made in China, and that would be Cross and Sheaffer. So what I'd like to do now is a quick overview and evaluation of four big brand fountain pens, entry-level pens, and then look at them in comparison to one of equal value in a Chinese pen. The four big brand pens I'll examine here are the Sheaffer VFM, that's right here. Then there's the Cross Aventura. Then the Faber-Castell Loom. And the Pilot Metropolitan. I don't have a Lamy Safari. I have written with one, but I don't own one. I have a Chinese knockoff of one. And the reason I'm not using this as an example is a lot of people love this, but that triangular grip is not something that I could recommend. I know that it sort of forces some new fountain pen users into a certain grip, and some people love this pen. But again, it's not fair to evaluate these pens when I don't own a Safari, and I don't plan on getting one. So anyway, the Chinese pen that I'll compare these brand name pens to is the PenBBS 308. Here's one right here. The lowest price for this pen on Etsy, which is PenBBS's official online selling store, is $13.99 US. Of course, there's shipping involved as well. And this finish is not one of those $13.99 models, but you can get the clear demonstrator, you can get the clear green and the clear blue versions, and some other really interesting finishes for $13.99. As the finishes go up, of course, the price goes up in value, but to some of the more limited editions, like this is a 308 Amber as a Cat, and that resin there is a limited edition, and this will run about $29.99 US, but we're still in that same ballpark as the rest of these pens. So let's look at each one of these pens individually. And we'll start with the Sheaffer VFM, which I assume stands for value for money, but I'm not sure about that. It's a slim, metal-bodied cartridge converter fountain pen with a very small steel nib, a snap cap that posts very nicely. I received this pen as a gift more than 10 years ago and never used it much because it's scratchy and difficult to write with. In fact, it never wrote properly, and only after I recently worked on the nib does it even write at all. The section is very thin and, for me, uncomfortable. The pen posts well, but the line it makes is inconsistent. It only takes cartridges, and there is no converter of which I'm aware. That's standard international small. This is a medium. It's scratchy and blotchy and really not a very nice experience. That step up is a little bit sharp as well. Very slim, very light pen. Now let's look at the Cross Aventura. This pen is even worse in terms of its comfort and writability. Like the VFM, I received this pen as a gift, and it even has my initials engraved on it. This is a soft plastic-bodied pen with a slick metal section, a very small nib that is very, very scratchy and thin, and it took extensive smoothing and fixing by me recently to make it right at all. When I received this more than 10 years ago, I wrote with it briefly, but I gave up believing that fountain pens were all like this. If a Sheaffer and a Cross write like this, all fountain pens were like this in my opinion. The pen posts well, and not securely, it will actually fall off. But the narrow, thin, slippery section and the downward turning nib make it, oh there it's falling off again, make it difficult to hold. Let me see if I can write with it. I don't know whether you can hear that or not, but it's really scratchy. This is supposedly a medium. And now it's run dry on me. I have to keep opening it up and trying to prime that feed. Again, I worked on this extensively and I can never get it to consistently write. It always tends to fail on me. This takes cross short cartridges and does not come with a converter. Now let's look at another fountain pen that I received as a gift years ago. I received a lot of fountain pens as gifts. This is the Faber-Castell Loom. This one I had expected would be much better than the Sheaffer or the Cross. This one was made by Faber-Castell in Germany. After many years as a teacher and creator of architectural drafting using German-made, in this case Stedler, technical pens, I regarded German writing instruments with respect. However, this pen was and is an extreme disappointment. It's relatively heavy, metal-bodied fountain pen with a slippery plastic section and a tiny, scratchy, thin steel nib. And although it accepts international short cartridges, it does not come with a converter. A proprietary cartridge converter is available for separate purchase. I tried to write with this pen for some time when I got it as a gift, but I had to give it up as it was such an unpleasant experience. Lately I've tried to smooth the nib and get it writing a little wetter, with no success. Of all the pens we're looking at here, this is the most expensive, and I would argue not an entry-level pen. It does post, but because that cap is so large, it back weights the pen, and it has a number 5 style size nib, And this one is a medium, and I'm going to try to write with this. This is the Faber-Castell Loom. This, believe it or not, is a medium. This feels like writing with a nail. I've tried to spread the tines out. I've done quite a bit of surgery, smoothing, spreading on this nib, and I have not got it to the point where it will write consistently. And it doesn't feel, it feels slippery in the hand anyway. It is a nice looking pen, however. The last pen of the major brands I want to examine is the Pilot Metropolitan. This pen is ubiquitous in the pen world as the most recommended first fountain pen for new users. I actually had to buy one recently to experience the pen firsthand and judge its value and the writing experience for myself. Of the four major brands I'm looking at here, this one is the only one I can really recommend to new users. It is a good pen for the money, in my opinion. I've done a video of this pen already, but to be brief, it writes very consistently. It is comfortable in the hand, except for this very sharp step right here. It's even sharper than the Sheaffer. And it looks sharp, it posts nicely, and it writes right out of the box. It comes with a squeeze converter, and will take proprietary Pilot cartridges. Now, I've replaced the squeeze converter with a Con 40 proprietary converter from Pilot at an extra cost. But again, it does come with a converter and a cartridge as well. So let's write with this Pilot Metro. This is a medium, although it is very thin for a medium. This is a very pleasant experience. This is very smooth. And the feed really keeps up. You can almost write like a ballpoint with this pen. And it's very consistent. And it can be very fast. Again, other than that sharp step up, it is a very comfortable pen. It's a bit small in the section for me, I find, and the nib is smaller as well. Now to the point of this video. Let's look at my Chinese challenger, the PenBBS 308. I've chosen the 308 as my choice for recommended entry-level fountain pen for new users because it's not only head and shoulders above all the other pens I've just mentioned, it is also the most affordable of the group at $13.99 US plus shipping. Where the Cross and the Sheaffer actually feel cheap, the PenBBS 308 feels luxurious. The resin finishes that are available in the 308 model, which range up to $30 US for some of the limited editions, like my Amber is a Cat, look and feel luxurious. The pen section is extremely well designed and comfortable, and the large number 6 nib is the smoothest and most pleasant fountain pen on paper experience I've ever had. The pen posts and is balanced whether it's posted or unposted. The pen comes with a cartridge converter and takes short international cartridges. There's the converter it comes with. And when it's eyedroppered, like my Amber is a cat, the entire body of this pen is now full of ink. It takes an incredible 4 milliliters of ink. So let me write with this pen. This is the PenBBS 308. This one's an amber. It is a fine. And this fine nib is actually, I don't know whether you can see that or not, but it's slightly upturned at this end. It's like what they call a mini fude nib, which gives it a surface that, for me, is writing just like butter. It's just buttery smooth. It just glides on this paper, just like silk. And with that section and that large nib, either posted or unposted, this pen is just the nicest writing experience I have ever experienced. So I have to comment on this. As a guitar player and for a time a guitar salesperson, I would always recommend an entry-level guitar to new guitarists that played at a minimum level. At minimum, it plays well. The reason is because if a new guitar player buys a guitar that is so cheap it is unplayable, or at worst, it hurts to play, that new guitar player will give up playing the guitar. I feel the same is true of entry-level fountain pens. If you put a Cross, in my opinion, the Cross Adventura and this Sheaffer VFM in the hands of a new fountain pen user, they'll probably give up writing with a fountain pen because it's such an unpleasant experience. Now, the Pilot Metropolitan is a nice pen and it works well, but I feel the PenBBS 308 is a superior pen in all aspects and a much greater value for the money than the Metropolitan. And for this reason, the PenBBS 308 will probably be my recommendation to anyone who shows an interest in writing with a fountain pen for the first time. So, if you like this video and my other videos, please hit like and subscribe and hit that bell to get notifications of new videos. And as always, thanks for watching. And that's all she wrote.